Welcome back to 2CTV, everybody. We have some more breaking news for you guys from the Middle East as tensions and the Islamist threat is increasing across the region and across the whole world with an attack on a Christian church in Damascus. But I do need to actually give you guys yet another breaking news. Minutes before we came live, if you're watching this live, we also heard about yet another attack, this time at a church, this time in Michigan, the United States of America. We are just getting more information about the attack at that church, but we're going to talk about the church in Damascus, and we have some very graphic images and videos. We're going to I'm giving you a heads up now, but we're going to show you guys the videos and give you guys the details of what's actually happening following the tensions increasing with the Islamic Republic of Iran and their proxies in the region. There is chaos left, right, and center in multiple countries, including Syria. Of course, the IRGC are against Syria and the new regime in the country. Of course, the Christians have been targeted a number of times by multiple groups, including some of the Al-Jilani supporters. But let's give you guys the update first, and I'm going to get your reaction. First things first, we have discovered that a suicide bomber initially went inside the St. Elias church in Damascus during a very busy Sunday mass service. He did start targeting people. Following that, he blew himself up. Initially, we started getting updates that about 25 or 30 people were killed, but actually we have double-checked with the authorities. The health ministry in Syria are saying that so far 9 people have been killed and 13 people have been seriously injured. The number of injured people, the casualties, unfortunately, could go up over the next few hours. Of course, this attack was at the heart of the capital, Damascus, which is, of course, a deadly breach of Al-Jilani's security stronghold. There are still many factions that want to bring down the current government. Having said that, let's go to the first video that we have from the St. Elias Church, and this is just after the attack. So, according to the Syrian state media, they actually coordinated this with the authorities immediately, minutes after the attack. They did their investigation very quickly, as opposed to in the West, which it takes usually half a day to do an investigation on a very clear terror attack. Syrian state media has now called it a cowardly act of terror. But we are still waiting for any specific group to claim responsibility. Of course, it could be any group, including ISIS or many others as well. The war on Christianity and Christians across the whole world continues. And of course, the global Western media, the mainstream media, are not really passionate about any of this. Over the last few months, over the last few years, we've had a huge round of attacks on Christians from Nigeria, Congo, to of course even in Europe. We've had a number of churches being attacked in France, burned down in Canada, and of course in the Middle East as well. There doesn't seem to be any appetite from the legacy media to report any of this, but of course our job on 2CTV is to tell you the truth. Let's go to the second video we've received. Just a heads up, graphic footage from after the attack in the St. Elias Church in Damascus. As I said, we're also going to be giving you guys the information of the latest attack at another church, this time in Michigan, which only just happened. The information is coming into us now as well. There is another video that we received from inside this church in Damascus. Let's quickly go to that. Then we're going to... there is also an eyewitness that kind of relatively described what happened. Let's quickly go to the next video.
يعني عيني راسي جاي بأمر رسمي جاي
Now there is absolute denial across the mainstream across the Western world in general. We also have, because the media is manipulating everybody and our so-called government, we have a number of people who continue to deny all this. For example, we have someone in the live chat saying Christians are not under attack. Yeah, they just went in, the attacker, to just target a couple of paintings on the wall, and there just happened to be people in the church. Same in Nigeria, I guess, right? You know, the people just happen to be Christians, and you know the attackers are not, they're definitely doing genocide against Christians in Nigeria and Congo, across the whole world. All the churches that are being burned down, all the churches that are being attacked. Apparently nothing is happening, and there is no war on Christianity and Christians, according to these absolute nutters, evil nutters. Now, as we said, there was an eyewitness who was actually in the church in himself, who managed to run away and survive. He's a Syrian Christian who somebody just asked him quickly what happened inside, and he simply said, obviously, he detonated, the guy shot people, but also then detonated himself and blew himself up. A number of people are dead and injured.
فاتوا اثنين ايه ماني متاكد واحد قوص ما خلى بلور وما خلى شيء بالاخير فجر وفي قتلى كثير وفي جرحى كثير والعالم كلها كانت عم تصلي ما عم تعمل شيء كله كان عم يصلي.
These are innocent people who were simply praying. These people had nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with government, and nothing to do with your tribal warfare. Now, regardless of the groups behind this, now, for example, when it comes to Syria, Islamist groups, when it comes to the attack at the church in Michigan, as the media could probably call them, lone wolf attacks, right? It doesn't really matter who does it. What we know is the level of disrespect and hatred against Christians and Christianity and churches. That's the point of it. Now, for whatever reason you want to do this, there are a number of different groups and individuals who have a problem with our Christian values, with the Western values in general. And we always said they are not going to stop with the Jews. The Jews are just the first to go. Next is the Vatican, is Europe, is Christianity, and everybody else. Now, next clip that we have is actually, we should actually talk about what's going on in Michigan as well. Another Sunday service turned into chaos in Wayne, Michigan. A man decided to drive his car, his truck, straight through the crowd in front of the church, stepped out with a rifle and targeted people who were going to church. Let's go to the first video we have from Wayne in Michigan. Now, of course, the emergency workers and security have closed off the area to continue their investigation in Wayne, but the actual law enforcement confirmed that multiple people were hit before a security guard of the church successfully tackled the suspect, the attacker, on the spot and went down. The authorities are still counting the number of people who have been injured and casualties. We'll keep you guys posted on that as well. There's a lot of fake figures coming up on social media. There is also a video that we've just now received from the moment of the attack in this church. I believe This could be the video from inside the church where people were inside. It's probably inside the building, yeah. And let's not forget that, of course, Michigan has one of the largest Islamic populations in the United States as well.
Oh.
Get out.
Come on. Everybody to the back. Please, everybody come to the back. Come to the back. Don, they gotta come. They gotta come. Come on.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Go. Out, I don't think is a good idea. Come on here.
And my thoughts are with everybody affected, both in Wayne, Michigan, as well as Damascus, Syria. Now, I'm still waiting to see when the mainstream media will start reporting on these two attacks. They're a little bit behind, but it's okay. That's usually how they operate anyway. Okay, so we're also getting some updates from Tehran as well. Over 200 government sites have now been attacked by the Israeli Defense Forces. Let's quickly get some reaction from you guys while we wait for more information from both Syria and Michigan. Islam is to man what rabies is to dogs. And MT says Michigan attack was during a Bible school service for children. That's why, of course, they had to leave that. Thanks for that update. When do we stop pretending that their ideology is not a problem? Both the radicals and the moderates that run cover for them. Or do we just take it? I mean, at some point, the conversations must start happening, especially those who call themselves the so-called Western moderate Muslims, whatever that means. If they really care, then they have to actually tell us whether they read the book and whether they actually agree with what's in the book and what is their opinion on the ideology, instead of just saying, oh, well, no, we just believe in God. Well, believe in Jesus then. If you just believe in God, follow Jesus. It's not rocket science. Why do you believe in that book? What's so special about it? Have you read it? Do you understand it? Or were you just born into a family and they said you just have to follow it without you reading it? Then you have to do your homework and then decide whether you still want to believe in it or not. Rather than just saying, well, I'm just believing in God. Then follow Jesus if you want to believe in God. Elizabeth says, why do I have to join twice and pay twice? I just want to be able to register and log on to watch on the app. You don't have to do twice. Just a heads up, Elizabeth is talking about 2C TV Plus. You have to go on 2C.tv, our website, our independent platform. Of course, for the next couple of hours, you can use the promo code 1million to get 50% off annual memberships. Once you have the login details, obviously you register, you get the login details, then you can go on the website. But you can also download the 2C TV app and use the login details to log in. Obviously, it tells you to register, just ignore it and just put your login details instead. If you have any problem, Elizabeth, send us an email straight after this live stream and we'll get our team to help you out. And of course, if you register twice, we'll refund one of the payments. Will be attack Rome and the oil-rich? Well, I think Rome has already been attacked anyway, yesterday and today. More sites will be confirmed later on by the IDF. We'll keep you guys posted on that. And this says, and are there moderates actually moderates when they never call this crap out? So some would say they are scared of the radicals, right? Sure, okay. But most simply don't care. It's not like they're in favor of the radicals. No. They just don't care to call it out. That's the problem. Now, of course, there will be one or two that always do come out, and most of them then become ex-Muslims. And you always have to, if you know anybody in your friendship circle or whatever who's an ex-Muslim, always keep them safe and support them because these people are now in danger. Those who say, well, it's very easy to leave religion. Yeah, normal religions, yeah, but the political ideology like Islam, you leave, you go. They are more likely to cheer it on. They tend not to. They just tend not to care. That's the problem. And why do we keep pretending? Yeah. Now, let's get some reaction from the members of 2CTV Plus as well in our chat forum. Okay, so what do we have from you guys? We got Deb saying, this is only the start. Sleeper cells will start up. So that will be one thing. And I do believe that obviously the situation in Syria is slightly different. Situation in Syria is you have the Shia side, the IRGC proxies, but you still have some of the Al-Jilani supporters or former Al-Jilani supporters, part of Tahrir al-Sham. Obviously, Al-Jilani is now the president, right? He appointed himself president of Syria. But those guys have also caused some trouble. Al-Jilani has now obviously, over the last few months, been cleaning up Syria. Even his own supporters have been arrested. We don't know if this one is the Sunnis, who are Al-Jilani's side, but why would they do it in Damascus? Because Al-Jilani controls Damascus. So it would be more likely, theoretically, to be a more Shia side from the IRGC supporting groups. We'll find out. I wonder how many from the mainstream media will report these additional instances of Christians being under attack. Thank God we have 2CTV reporting what truly matters and happens around the world. I appreciate this. Of course, we'll try our best to bring you guys all the breaking news as it happens, even if the media don't care. Hello, all from Australia. Love your work. Hello, guys from Australia. And also, Kelsey says hello from Alabama. Brilliant. We got Australia, Alabama. We have AFC from the UK saying things are going a bit mad worldwide. How long before we have another 7-7? Well, to be fair, at this point, what is happening here? Okay, there's some situation happening in Iran, in Tehran. Things are kicking off again in the capital. To answer AFC, we are now, back then when you had 9/11, I mean 9/11 was on a whole different level anyway in terms of the number of casualties and the surprise element of it, but 7/7, which was in 2005 in London, and a number of similar attacks. Back then, the reason we still know and remember the date or the name of the attack was because back then it was still not as regular. It's become so often and regular, especially in the continent of Europe. When you look at France, when you look at Germany, Sweden, that you don't have to wait for another 7/7 because you have attack on the 8th of October, you have another attack on the 10th of November, and especially as you get closer to Christmas. But apparently, that's just a coincidence that a lot of churches get attacked. There's definitely no war on Christianity and Christians. It's just a coincidence, right? Hopefully your father stays safe. He's okay for now, actually. When are all the lefties screaming when Christians and Jews are being killed by these extremists? Such hypocrisy that they are trying to make it so we don't want to go to church out of fear. Join 2CTV and the great community. Much love from Canada. Thank you guys again, members of 2CTV doing promos. So, I mean, we've seen this recently. Bangladesh. A few months ago, and it's still ongoing, by the way, over the last year or so, Bangladesh, who had a number of attacks by the Islamists on Hindus and others, right? We've also had situations, again, in Nigeria. We've had the situation with the Jews being attacked. And over the last few months, at least in London, we've had a couple of small group protests. But these protests were not organized by your usual suspects, the left-wing groups, human rights groups, charities. No, these were the group of British patriots, Christians, Jews, Hindus, who got together because they started meeting each other since October the 7th, when they started counter-protesting against the Palestinian nutters. So they became friends, and they tend to start doing, whenever something happens against the Hindus or against the Christians or against the Iranians, they all get together and show solidarity. So they do it, but not one single person from the political left and the so-called human rights compassionate groups, or Jeremy Corbyn or whatever, Bernie Sanders, none of these people care, none of these people come, because no Jews, no news. This is the whole issue. One person who could be, for example, Western, and they don't even have to be Christian, right? Somebody from America or Europe, it goes around and shoots 3 people. Oh, there will be chaos. I don't know, IDF does something. Oh, there will be chaos. Outrage. Government petitions. But the other way around, no. Corey says this S is going to start all over the world. Let's hope not, obviously, but yeah. Imagine if Islam was normal. Imagine. Well, it wouldn't exist. Just imagine how peaceful the world would be. The UK wouldn't have politicians like Starmer, Corbyn, and others being afraid and doubt something all for them and neglecting the British. The sooner these Islamists make it to the other side, the better it will be for mankind. I agree. Susie says, join 2CTV Plus, the best source of news without the fluff. You won't regret it. My father used to say, don't raise your voice, improve your arguments. That's a good one as well. Yes, join 2CTV Plus, guys. Pork says it never ends. X says there used to be respect, but after the Haraf massacre in a synagogue, the Islamists became more fascist. Is it fascist? Yeah, fascist. No rationale needed, just death. Also, the original is the 7 laws of Noah for the non-Jews, and the Jews, the whole thing. There should be a religious freedom for all. But yeah, I mean, there should also be a life and security for all, so that you can actually live your life rather than just randomly get killed whenever you leave your house. Wayne is just down the highway from Dearborn, where the US hosts the country's largest mosques. I guess they saved money on gas. So yeah, for the record, we still don't know the identity of the attacker in Wayne. Obviously, when it comes to Damascus, that's been confirmed, that's Islamism. But when it comes to Wayne, we don't know. But obviously, as I said, it's got the largest Muslim population in the country. But again, just could be a coincidence. Could be anybody. Could be anybody. We need security guards in churches because of morons who believe in mass murdering, caravan robbing, PDF. Yep. Unbelievable. I hope Trump retaliates for Michigan, and every time something like this happens from now on. Yeah. Just got an update that 2 Moroccan high-ranking soldiers have been killed by the Iranian missiles. What is happening here? I'll get some updates on that. All right, God bless everyone who has been affected from me and my son. Thank you. Karen says, hello from Mussel Bay, South Africa. Hello, Karen. Perhaps it's time for this generation to pay in blood for our freedom. Sadly, from time to time, there has to be an investment in blood and lives to secure freedom for a while longer. Unfortunately, it seems to be like that. Right. I asked about safety at my church. Uniformed officers, plainclothes, law enforcement, and law enforcement vehicles in parking lots. I think all churches and synagogues need a security plan. So in North London, synagogues, now all of them basically have security outside. And it's so sad, and it's so weird that nobody else seems to actually care. Nobody seems to be questioning it. Why is it that synagogues, for example, in London, in a modern civilized London, I don't know if you can call it civilized anymore, would need security all the time? Now, most churches in London don't, but the moment a couple of churches start getting attacked, you're going to have that as well. But synagogues have been attacked. That's why they have them. Disgusting. Going back to some super chats, you got Buster saying holy war is the worst war possible, especially Islamic extremists attacking us. Yes, mostly because it's so Puritan ideological. It's not based on any strategy or any sort of territorial dispute. It's your belief, it's your worldview. If you believe that Islam will have to take over, again, you can't negotiate with that. That's why it makes it the worst type of conflict, any sort of Puritan ideology. Doomsday says, no media is covering this. Thank you for the truth. Thank you, Doomsday, for your feedback. No such thing as a moderate Muslim. I used to think there was, but the post-7th of October celebrations woke me up. So there were the Gazans and, of course, a lot of the radicals. I'm guessing, obviously, you haven't met many Muslims. If you do meet many Muslims, so I still fundamentally disagree with their worldview, with their ideology, and what they think. But for those of us who've been exposed to a lot of different type of Muslims, different levels, there definitely are what you would call moderate Muslims, but in reality, moderate Muslims are basically not real Muslims. The actual Muslims would say they're not real Muslims, because the thing about Islam is that you have to follow it 100%. So if you're just born into an Islamic family, but like a rich Muslim family from Saudi Arabia or Egypt, oh, you're definitely civilized, and you don't really care about terrorism or about expanding Islam, and some even drink beer. So the red line is usually bacon. Bacon is, because it's a cultural thing. If you're born and you haven't had bacon, you're like, well, I've been told bacon is bad, right? But they do exist. But obviously the other Muslims would say that's not a real Muslim. But that person would say, well, I was born into a Muslim family. I believe in God. I'm a Muslim. But they haven't actually read the book, and they don't know what's in it. But it's just that they can't. It's ingrained. It's inside them. They're like, well, I've been told I'm a Muslim. So they do exist. If you meet enough Muslims, you do realize that there are different types. But if you meet anybody, any of them, that actually says, I've read the book and I believe in it, but if they say I'm not a terrorist, still question it. Why do you believe in that book with all the flaws? Even if you say, well, I don't agree with ISIS, okay, what about the actual text of the book? So question them. You know, they're not those who are just born into a Muslim family and haven't actually read it, and they're like, oh, well, my mum told me to, you're just following God. It becomes a cultural thing. Also, we get the worst types of people from the Islamic world. The migrants you get to the West, compared to, again, the middle-class educated Arabs who stay in UAE, in Saudi Arabia, in Jordan, in Egypt, in Lebanon. Those guys, you don't see them on the streets of London or Paris or Toronto. What you see on the streets of London, Paris and Toronto are those with the Palestinian flags. They left those countries and they've come to the West. So what you end up having is the lower class, chaotic, barbaric, backwards members of the Islamic world that come to the West. Stereotyping, obviously, but yeah. When is Israel sending a Zoan into Iran? Waiting. Scotty says that the IRGC could do a deal with Pakistan for the use of nukes. Yeah, but then the Pakistanis will get destroyed. Also, I'm not really convinced that the Pakistani nukes actually work. They haven't upgraded it in a long time. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep you guys posted on this as we get more information about what's happening in Michigan in terms of the number of people, the number of casualties, and of course the identity of the suspect. We know the situation in Damascus was an Islamist terrorist attack, but in terms of Michigan, we don't know exactly what's going on there for now. We just know, of course, that the attack took place. Don't forget, you only have a few hours left now to get today. Sunday the 22nd of June is the final chance to use the promo code 1million to get 50% off annual memberships of 2C TV Plus. You can only get that by going directly on 2c.tv. I have to say it like this because a number of people get confused. They try to put the code in the monthly membership, like it says annual, and also go on 2c.tv. Not the app, that's different. Well, it's the same platform, but you can only use the promo code on the actual website. Once you have your login details, don't forget to download the 2CTV app. The app is free, but of course, if you want to get access to the documentaries and everything else, then use the login details from the website, 2CTV Plus, to go on the app. You can join on the app, but you just won't be able to use the promo code that we have today for you guys. We are now at 1,094,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya 2C, and we are the media.